We watched Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Oh boy, did we.
Why did you make me watch this movie? Hello and welcome to Visual Recreation. I'm Drew, and this here is my pal Joey. How you doing there, Joey?
I'm doing better now. How are you? Still recovering, I see. Now, we've come to the end of our Indiana Jones film franchise review and critique series with Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
That's right.
This is where we follow Indiana Jones and Mutt as they go on a journey that is out of this world. They're trying to save Marion, and finding a giant crystal alien head without being shot by Soviet soldiers.
That's a lot to take in.
Yeah.
That's just a lot to take in. Now, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull premiered in 2008, starring Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, of course. And Shia LaBeouf as Mutt. Along with Cate Blanchett as Colonel Spalko and Karen Allen reprising a role as Marion Ravenwood. Now, it was written by David Koepp, who wrote Jurassic Park, Mission Impossible, and War of the Worlds, and of course, it was directed by none other than Steven Spielberg.
Yep, you win some, you lose some.
He's been losing a lot lately.
Yeah, and its opening weekend, Crystal Skull made over $100 million in just 4,200 theaters in late May of 2008. Now, it would go on to get a worldwide gross of over $786 million, which is more than the previous 3 Indiana Jones films overall in the worldwide gross. Now, it also came out 20 years after The Last Crusade, so the money and the rate of inflation and all of that is a lot different.
That's right, and the aesthetic and the name Indiana Jones travels further. So with all of it, people wanting to see what could have been, and they instantly wanted their money back after that. So
rebates?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Now, this is the lowest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes by both the critics and the audience. Overall, the whole franchise, say by a long shot. I think 54% of the audience was the audience score, which I'm really surprised that it's actually 54%. So Joey, I'm going to turn this over to you. Of course, this was my first time watching this. I was trying to avoid it like the plague, like everybody was telling me to, but I was giving it my old college try.
Yeah.
It failed to get any. It failed to even get on the board really with me. I just could not get into this. But what about you? A huge fan of Indiana Jones for years. You finally watching this movie.
Yes.
What is your overall thoughts of the Crystal Skull?
Well, this is my first time seeing it in, what would that be, 11, that'd be 12 years since it initially came out. Because I went to the theater to see this. I paid money to see this movie. Why?
So you have not seen this since you were at theaters?
Right, because I liked it so much.
I just wanted to savor that moment.
Exactly, yeah. I watched it in the theaters. I thought it had potential. As I was sitting there eating my popcorn, big fan of Indiana Jones, so I was like, finally, he's back on the big screen.
Joey with that big tub in his hand,
pretty
with
much.
his canvas shirt, his fedora hat, you had your playful whip.
Yep.
You're just like, oh my god, I'm going to see it finally.
That's exactly how I was, yeah. And, no, it fell short very quickly, so that's my overall thoughts.
Yeah, this movie really lost me at the beginning where the Paramount logo turns into the Prairie Dog Hill.
That early.
Pretty much. I was like, wow, a CGI mole, right? Like, the first thing we ever see is, like, a CGI prairie dog and mole. I'm like, are we watching Caddyshack 3? Like, this is crazy bad. This movie... So, this is the thing. It's like, I thought people who said all this bad stuff about Crystal Skull were people that watched it from the very beginning of the Indiana Jones film franchise. They were seeing it through nostalgic glasses. Maybe they were just like, oh, this is what Indiana Jones is, and you guys are trying to change it in 2008. So me coming in, this is my first time ever watching it, I was like, oh, maybe I'll see something different. I kind of like Shia LaBeouf. Maybe something will be different. And then I watched it. I was like, quickly like, no, this is bad. Everybody was correct. This is so bad. It is absolutely terrible. Why? Why are we looking for aliens? I don't understand. Why?
Steven Spielberg, that's why.
It was really bad. I think the beginning scene of them looking for whatever they were looking for in the hangar took way too long to establish. I kind of wanted to see a different way of them coming at the story. I really wish that they would have done like an Indiana Jones is too old for this, and Mutt comes to him trying to get him to help him find this thing that he's been searching for, or it's like what is it, like mythicized, and he's like, oh, okay, and he's like, one more, and then that's when he finally reluctantly, no, Indiana Jones is still doing his thing, driving underneath cars for how long, and like holding on to it, and like, all right, it took them pushing him out, trying to think that he's a double agent, to finally push him out of his job and everything, and then to get him to do something else. So I don't know, I just thought they would have done something different. To the story. Come to find out, it's just like, hey, Indiana Jones is still doing it. He's just a little slower than what he normally was, like climbing on boxes and running and stuff.
Well, I mean, you have there. All right, so I would say there's some nods to what Indiana Jones is supposed to be.
Yeah, definitely.
In this movie, like hidden throughout, like I'm talking small scenes where you're like,
very small.
Like, oh, that's like one of the originals. That's cool, and then it quickly fades. But no, I mean Steven Spielberg. He's dealt with like the supernatural, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, the Ark of the Covenant. I mean, there was supernatural things throughout Indiana Jones, but this is much more of a shift where he's going towards the paranormal. Yeah. So it kind of changed things a lot. So the beginning of the film, for me, kind of had that aspect of the original where like, you know, in Temple of Doom, they deal with the diamond in the beginning, and that had nothing to do with the rest of the movie. Right. So watching this, for me, you're finding out that this is like paranormal type thing. They cut it open. It's like a mummified alien type thing, and you're kind of like, okay, that's cool. Maybe it's gonna change. Like they're gonna go towards like more of an artifact or something more supernatural, or tie it into something that could possibly be a little more grounded and relatable. But then it doesn't, and so that's where it kind of fell apart for me. Like, I wanted it to be more like the originals. I wanted it to be more of like search for like an artifact or little more mystery around it, and instead they kind of gave away that mystery all throughout. So you had the mummified alien, and then you had I think they opened up another thing with an alien in like the middle of the film before they got to the main circle of aliens. So like it was all,
they were opening up all these cocoons in the middle of everything. There were like dudes in them, and then all of a sudden the dude just like
Yeah. And what about alright, so jumping way ahead, when they finally get to...
Let's just do it.
When they finally get to the temple that they're like tiptoeing through, they don't know what's going on, and then you have those people like just come out of the catacombs.
Oh, yeah.
Like, those guys just waiting there the whole time?
Of course.
They're just chilling? How do they get food? They get Uber? They get delivery or something?
I mean, at least they have the outside. At least they have the outside world.
How do they get outside?
They were the normal people.
I know. Okay. Are they like in that? Dude, they're sitting there. What'd they do? Like, I guess they could have scouted them out.
What are we gonna do?
What are we gonna do? And then they slid in their little hidey hole and got ready.
Hidey hole? What are you talking? What?
You don't know what I'm talking about?
Okay, can I just say that you're trying to like nitpick this, but you're cool with The Last Crusade with that whole 700-year-old like Roman guy in there just like chilling, like, I drink some water. I'm here forever.
Well, all right. Well, like we said, he had the Holy Grail, so he had immortality. So he was.
These people just can't get food or eat like bugs that from flying in.
No, but are they like? My question is, are they stuck in there because they were sealed in? They had to break through the thing to get out. Was there like a little slide entrance? They slid in and got into place?
We only saw one little bit. We weren't in there for that long. So maybe there is. Maybe there is a back alleyway.
That would suck to be in there.
Well, of course it would. That's why a lot of people don't go in there. Let's just be honest. Speaking of parts that I wanted to say that we were going into good parts, but let's just go into whatever parts we want to talk about.
Talked about a little bit of good things.
Some of the parts that just did not work out for me is I don't know. I just did not the selling of Harrison Ford doing all these stunts did not sell me on anything. There was a point where in the beginning, we're going to go back to the beginning real quick, is when he's like, he drops the gun when everybody was there, it shoots the dude in the foot, and then he turns around and runs up the boxes, and there's people with guns just like, all right, we got to wait till he gets up to the top. Right. And then we can start shooting and missing.
Well, by the way, everyone in these films, including Star Wars, they're like the stormtroopers. Yeah. Horrible shots.
Well, yeah.
Everyone's bad shot.
Yeah, exactly. But they waited. There's a point where you're like sitting there going like, you could have shot him. He's on the second box. And then they're just like...
worried about their friend. He got his toe
Oh my gosh.
shot.
Get out of here. They're Soviet Russian people. They don't care about anything.
Oh, boy.
But I think that one doesn't work out. The ants towards the end was really bad. All the CGI was very suspect throughout the whole movie. Mutt Spider-Maning it through the whole
or Tarzan, jungle. You say, swinging on the vines. Yeah, that was... How did... I mean... He gets tossed up there and he's hanging on and he looks at the monkeys. He's like, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
No.
And then he goes faster than...
Right. Yeah, so that's the biggest thing that bugged... Well, that whole scene bugs me. But one big thing about it is these cars, they're in a car chase.
Yes.
They're far away from where he got shot up in the vine.
Yes.
And there's no aspect of direction in relation to the vehicles, which way he's going. Yeah. But somehow he comes out in the direct path to the cars.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tarzan.
It doesn't make any sense. And then we get to the end where they finally get the crystal skull. First of all, okay, and then that friend, I have to say again, this is lazy writing right here, is the friend who is with Indiana Jones at the beginning. Then he turns on him, says, oh, I was a double agent to you. And then towards the end, he's like, in the back of the truck, he's like, oh, I was always with you. Remember, I told you. I was just doing a little wink and nod. And then all of a sudden, at the end, then he turns on him again. And I'm like, what are you doing? You're just trying to tie it. It felt like they had to tie something in to make everything work together.
Right, to make it move along.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, well, we'll make this one guy just keep flipping back and forth, back and forth. It's like, no, don't do that. You can't do that.
And you can maybe make the argument that the guy, his character, he's very greedy and selfish, so he's just doing what he needs to do to get his way.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even when he flips again and he's with Indiana Jones and they get there to where all the treasure is in that initial room, he's like, oh, look at all the gold, and he's putting the necklaces on, you know? So he's just doing it for himself, really.
Yeah.
So.
And also very gullible on Indiana Jones for just thinking like, oh, he sold me out at the beginning, but I quickly forgave that because we're just friends. And then all of a sudden he took something, he's like, oh, how would I have known that? And then he's like, oh, I'm going to save him now. It's like, let him just do him. Like, you should just let him go on his way. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on me.
Is that way? Yeah.
And then fool me 3 times.
Yeah, he should have known. He should have been like, no, I don't trust you. tie him up and leave him to the tribal people or something.
Just, oh my gosh. It was just... movie was all over the place. I did like that Indiana Jones and Marion got married at the end. It was very nice. It was very welcoming. And then kind of like, I thought Harrison Ford was just like, no, this is my hat. You're not going anywhere. Yeah. Like, you're not going to be the next one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they wanted to have a young Indiana Jones series, but it just didn't work out.
Well, there was a young Indiana Jones TV series.
Right, there was, but I mean with Shia LaBeouf.
No, yeah. Well, of course. He was the It Boy.
Yeah, this was going to be the segue into that.
Yeah, he was already doing Transformers, I think, at that time. So it was like, oh, he's doing Transformers, he's all up in everything. Let's make him Indiana Jones, and then we can keep this franchise going. We'll milk it. I mean, it did make $786+ million worldwide.
It's true.
But we say this is the ending to this franchise, but I saw on some of the movie stuff that they're in production to make a 5th one.
Yeah, they
in
are.
2022.
I think so.
So we'll wait to see that. All it says right now is Indiana Jones 5.
Right.
So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen there.
And I think the only way they can kind of redeem themselves is to make it more of a relatable, grounded, more archaeological artifact type, mystery type thing. go back to their roots. Is what I'm trying to say. Like not.
I don't know. I think that this movie was it. I think this movie was.
It was supposed to be.
I think that no. I mean, I think this movie was the testing waters of seeing where we could go from here, and they stumbled and it stunk. So I don't know what the next one could be to where we're getting onto a good. Besides just making a decent Indiana Jones movie, because that's not hard to make after falling so hard on this one.
Yeah.
But it's like we had the passing of the torch kind of moment. We had the establishing Harrison Ford is old. We're passing it on to a new young hot star. We're moving on, and then they didn't do well, and now it's like, oh well, 2022. We'll make it good on that. It's like Harrison Ford is that much older. What is he going to be doing? Who's going to be even Indiana Jones or Mutt or whoever is going to be taking the torch?
Maybe he's sitting in his den reading an old story of himself, and then it like goes into the book and it's a younger Indiana Jones.
No I don't know what it is, but
put Harrison Ford in a green screen room and just CG everything.
We're gonna deep fake Harrison Ford onto a younger man, and that's all it's gonna be. It's just gonna be Indiana Jones. I will say that we're probably, now that I watched all the Indiana Jones movies, I think that I'll be in 2022 watching Indiana Jones in the theaters.
Really?
And
just to see how it does.
Just ready to just tear it apart if it ever does make the screens.
Yeah, I mean, I at least just want to see the trailer first.
Yeah,
if
definitely.
If the trailer has any
I think it's
redeeming quality, then I'll see it in the movie theater.
I don't think there's going to be... I think this is going to be very, very, very critiqued.
Yeah.
This is going to be super critiqued. It's kind of like... I think it's kind of like Spider-Man having so many iterations so close together, and then this one's coming... Granted, it's going to be 14 years, but it's still in the 2000s, and now it's like different. So,
yeah.
What are your final thoughts and rating for Crystal Skull?
I always forget that we have to do this rating business.
Yeah, just rate it.
But final overall thoughts is that it is definitely not my favorite one. It's not my
shocked. That's my shocked face.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone asks for an Indiana Jones movie, I will not recommend this one. I mean, just go Raiders of the Lost Ark or Last Crusade. Rating, I mean, it did have some good things in it. Some things that made me think of, or some nods to the original trilogy. Okay. Which I enjoyed. Some of the comedy aspects were there, or at least they attempted to try and do that, like make Harrison Ford the way he was in the originals. But overall, just not good. So I'm gonna put it at a rating of, give it like a 3, and that's probably generous.
Ooh, 3. I was gonna give it like 3.5.
Yeah,
I'll give it a 3.5. That's I don't want to say any other final thoughts. I think I gave enough of my thoughts about the whole movie, but I think 3.5 is all right. I think it's fine.
It might be too much.
Probably too much, but that's it.
They tried.
That's it.
That's it.
That's our final rating of the final movie.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this one? Leave it in the comments below. Tear it apart or let us know if it was awesome. whatever you think. That'd be awesome to see the comments about this one for sure. But that's all we got for you today. We will see you in the next one.